I'm your number one fan.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
My mom and dad.
I see dead people.
Hello.
Hi. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Killer Cuties Podcast.
That is us.
Yep. We're a little different today. We're doing something different.
We are. Well, we're kind of doing a short little news section. Nope, I'll get there. Section before we jump in. Because we're talking about two different movies. We're talking about the original 1978 Dawn of the Dead and its remake in 2004. So obviously, a lot to talk about. Two whole movies being covered all at once. So should I kick us off with some news?
Yep.
All right, I have two kind of smaller pieces of news. One, we talked about 28 years later, last episode or something?
And the one before, I'm pretty sure.
But it's got a release date, so it's currently set for June 20th of 2025.
Oh.
And apparently, we've also learned that it's going to be part of a trilogy of new movies in that universe.
Ooh.
So yeah, one of three. Alex Garland is set to write all three movies, but Danny Boyle will only be directing the first one, and then he's going to be passing it over to Nia DaCosta for the second one. So I don't know if she's doing the third as well, but I think she did the Marvels, which I didn't see, but I did see her reimagining of Candyman, and I enjoyed it. So I'm excited.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we also have news on Jordan Peele's fourth film. So it was originally titled GOAT. I think we mentioned that a few episodes back. But it's been retitled. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been described as an anti-sports horror movie.
Okay.
But it's been retitled to Him. He's him, I guess. But anyways, that has also been given a release date. It's set for September 19th of 2025. So I think that's been pushed back because I feel like originally we were supposed to get it late this year. But it keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So
crazy to change the title.
He's him.
I guess. Who's playing him?
I have no idea.
Oh, well.
My bad.
Find out.
We will. Do you have any horror news?
I've got one.
Oh, okay.
I've got one for all the other Reputation era girlies out there.
Oh, God.
It's a Taylor Swift joke. Ryan Murphy is releasing a new horror drama series called Grotesquerie, which will premiere this fall on FX. We previously learned it'll star Niecy Nash, Courtney Vance, and Leslie Manville, but it was just released this week that none other than Super Bowl winning tight end Travis Kelce will be playing a role in the show. We don't know how big of a role. We don't even know anything about the plot or the characters. We know nothing about this show. But we're only a few months out now, so we'll keep you updated as we hear more.
You'll keep them updated.
I will.
I will be washing my hands of that.
I'm doing the Lord's work.
Ew, someone needs to stop Ryan Murphy. I say that with love. Stop.
Well, maybe if he gets a fresh start on something.
No.
Well,
he's gone.
He got a few good seasons out of every show he's ever done. And then they just started sucking. So maybe if he just does this one for a couple seasons, it'll be good. It's got Niecy Nash.
I have low hopes, I'm going to be honest. Do like her. I do like Niecy Nash, but that's about all that sounds good in that to me, personally.
Well.
All right. Should we get into it?
Let's do it.
We got a meaty episode today.
Beefy.
Let's talk about beefy. We have the beef. Okay. Don't sue us, Arby's. Okay. We're going to talk about both Dawn of the Dead movies. So the 1978, the IMDb description of that plot is during an escalating zombie epidemic, two Philadelphia SWAT team members, a traffic reporter, and his TV executive girlfriend seek refuge in a secluded shopping mall. The only thing that changes about the description for the 2004 remake is who is trapped in the mall. So there's just a few more people. Some include a nurse, a policeman, a young married couple, a salesman, and others. So that's kind of the two descriptions of the two movies. The 1978 version was written and directed by George A. Romero. It's the second in his kind of zombie series after Night of the Living Dead. It is starring David Emge and Ken Foree. Its Rotten Tomatoes score is a critic score of 91%, and its IMDb score is 7.8. And the 2004 remake was directed by Zack Snyder, screenplay by James Gunn, obviously based on the original. And that stars Sarah Polley, Ving Rhames, and Jake Weber. It has a critic score of 76% and an IMDb of 7.3.
Nice.
That was a lot. I just said a lot of words.
I mean, there's a lot to go over.
Yeah, 2 whole movies. We've never done an episode like this before.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Also, I just put together the connection that it starts with Night of the Living Dead, and then Dawn of the Living Dead, and then Day of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
I
They
get
go
it.
through all of the phases of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then evening.
Evening. The brunch of the living dead.
Twilight of the Living Dead.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that the Twilight series is a part of this universe.
Makes sense.
I'm kidding. I love to lie on the internet. I guess, should we start with like fun facts about the original, and we can kind of compare it to the remake, and then kind of move into that?
I guess so.
All right.
Tom Savini,
Yes.
star of the 1978 movie. He's a special effects guy, and I think he played
Yes.
like the lead biker or something. He acted in it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was kind of the backbone of this movie. He picked the gray skin tone because the Night of the Living Dead from the 60s was in black and white. So like skin tone wasn't depicted. So we kind of had like free reign of like, oh, what do we want zombies to look like in pop culture? But he ended up hating it because it looked really blue on film.
Yeah. It was definitely a choice. But yeah, there were I feel like there were a couple things that this was very early, I think, well, I guess not in his acting career, but like he then did a very long history of movies and doing horror special effects. So I think this was kind of early on in his career of that. And I think there were a lot of things that he talked about in this that he was like, oh, I didn't like how that turned out, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And a lot of it he just did off the cuff, off the fly. Like George A. Romero never used storyboards, so they just kind of showed up and did it, which is funny because last episode we talked about them doing 800 square storyboards for scenes in Pandorum, but
total opposite.
Completely, yeah, total opposite from that. But yeah, I think he had also said that he didn't like the way the blood turned out. Even though George A. Romero was like, no, it was great. It looked like a comic book, and that was like the vibe he was going for. So
yeah, the blood was food coloring, cane sugar syrup, and peanut butter.
Yeah.
Which just sounds like a cookie to me.
It sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, just bake it and it's cookie.
And then they used real cow intestines for the scene where one of the bikers is getting his guts ripped out.
Yeah. I will say this is one of the more gore-heavy movies.
Yeah.
That we've seen.
Yeah. And that's that they to avoid an X rating, because that's what they thought they were going to get. They just had it go not rated. Like they didn't rate it at all.
Yeah.
Because they were like, there's no way. And they didn't want the X rating because back then that was associated with like porn. So we're like, we don't want people to think it's a porn, but we also don't want the X rating and we don't want to cut anything. So
yeah. I mean, there's definitely more gory things that are rated R nowadays. I think back in the 70s, they were a little uptight, little people.
Yeah, we've come a long way in terms of what constitutes an R rating.
Yeah.
Now versus then.
I still think that the X rating is associated with graphic sex. I think you can get away with so much more gore now and still get an R rating. But for whatever reason.
The sex is not. That's X. Sex.
Yeah.
That's why. Fun fact. They also in the original ending of the original the original ending of the original.
Yeah.
No, they weren't supposed to live.
Yeah.
In the version we have now, Peter and Fran kind of fly away on the helicopter, which I do love the ending scene. How much fuel we got? Not a lot. Okay. Just, all right, we're doing what we can.
Still kind of bleak.
Yeah, so it's still definitely an up in the air, not looking good ending,
Mhm.
but I guess Romero had kind of fallen in love with the characters over the course of filming and said, never mind, let's not kill them off.
Yeah.
Peter was supposed to, I think, end his life when he
Yeah.
stayed back. And then I've heard two versions that either Fran also ends her life by sticking her head in the blades of the helicopter, but I also read that it was more of an accident. So I don't know which version is true. Yeah, that like the zombies were coming and she stood up too fast and like that's what happened. So I don't know. They never had even filmed it, so we don't know what it was actually, but I guess only they could tell us. I read both versions, so I don't know.
Oof. I mean, yeah, it would have been a bigger statement had she offed herself.
Yeah.
It would have been very, like, what the hell? If it was an accident, that wouldn't have been as fun.
I feel like, yeah, that would have been more of a shock, but also more angering to be like, oh my god, she almost made it.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. If you've seen Night of the Living Dead, I know you haven't, but
yeah, I was
he
looking
likes
through
a little shocking ending.
Oh god. I was looking at all the like fun facts and stuff about this movie, and it kept talking about Night of the Living Dead. I'm like, oh my god, did I watch the wrong fucking movie? Was I supposed to watch the one from the 60s first?
No, your assignment was just the two Dawn of the Deads. Technically,
Nice.
Night of the Living Dead is like the first in the series, but I consider them more kind of spiritual sisters than really a direct sequel. It's just kind of different examples of how people would react in this situation.
Well, Night of the Living Dead is the first movie that mentions zombies, right? And then it only mentions them once.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know, because I know for the most of the movie they're called ghouls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one time I think it's like a radio
that they might say that.
Yeah, some sort of like news radio something or another. They mention zombies.
Yeah. It's first in a lot of things. Kind of popularized zombies, said zombies. I think it's technically the first horror movie with a black man as the lead.
Oh.
Yeah.
He lives.
Sure.
Doesn't he?
In Night of the Living
Dead?
Night
of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead is what we're talking about.
Got it.
I
haven't seen it. That's not fair. So he dies. I don't want to spoil it. Good to know. Well, I know that the actor who took the role of this is gonna Kenneth
in the remake
in 2004 took it because he lives.
Yes. So as soon as Ving Rhames heard that there was going to be a remake of Dawn of the Dead, he immediately reached out to the producers. He wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because he said the black guy lives in this, and I want to be a part of it. So, so yes, Dawn of the Dead. Ken Foree's character does live. Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead doesn't sound like so much.
I don't want to spoil anything. Maybe you should do earmuffs while I talk about that for a second.
I'll turn off my sound.
Did she do it?
I turned it off.
Okay, she turned off her sound, so I'm just gonna really quickly talk about that because it does kind of have a little bit to do with this. Is that Dwayne Jones was cast as Ben, the lead of Night of the Living Dead, and George A. Romero had just said, I just cast the person who is best for the job. But his character, spoiler alert, does end up dying at the end, and he's shot by a sheriff. And that actually came out around the same time that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And so I think unknowingly, Romero kind of made this political statement or commentary on race issues that he didn't really mean to do. Katie, you can come back now.
Okay, I'm
Are
back.
you back? Okay. I'm done talking about Night of the Living Dead, but I'm going to kind of continue what I was talking about is that George A. Romero kind of started commentary on race issues without, I think, really meaning to in Night of the Living Dead. But it kind of continues over into this movie. He does kind of talk about marginalized societies, and like the raid at the beginning of the movie shows like this racist police officer just exacerbating an issue because he's because of his racism, and it's definitely a critique on that. And so I think in this movie it's a little bit more blatant what he's trying to say than I think in Night of the Living Dead. It kind of happened accidentally because for your knowledge, what I had said was he cast Dwayne Jones as the lead character in Night of the Living Dead simply because he was the best actor for the role. He wasn't trying to say anything, but it ended up saying things unknowingly to him. But yeah, I actually found someone's honor thesis that they did on like the Dead series.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was called The Racial Critique of Consumerism in George Romero's Zombie Films by Henry Powell. And it was actually like really interesting. I didn't get to read all of it because it was very long. It's a thesis, but I read through a bit of the section that he did on Dawn of the Dead because he kind of went through each of the movies. And it was really interesting. He kind of talked about the zombies wandering through the mall, and that was kind of his critique on consumerism and how, they go there because once they're brain dead, they go back to somewhere familiar, and everybody's so used to being pushed to go spend your money and be in these malls and consume. And he did talk a lot about the opening scene and the impact on marginalized communities as well. And yeah, I don't know. Google it, give it a read. We'll have to link it or something.
Yeah, maybe I will. Sounds fun.
Yeah, it was actually like really interesting.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like the kind of concept in these films that there is a little bit of a muscle memory to the zombies, because we don't get that a lot. It's usually just like totally thoughtless, just killers, I guess.
Yeah.
Was it it was the 78 film where Steven, right? It turns into a zombie and then he goes back to the safe room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you go back to your instinct of what's natural to you. So he leads the zombies into the safe room, and that's why Peter and Fran kind of have to book it out of there.
Jump ship. Yeah, we don't get that a lot.
No, yeah, that definitely was like an interesting take on it. Although this being one of the originals, maybe people don't do that now because they're trying to be different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also liked how the zombies learned how to run in their 40 years between the movies.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and fun fact, that was the remake was actually inspired by 28 Days Later. So the fact
a couple years before.
Yeah, the fact that they ran in that movie was like terrifying.
Yeah.
And so when they did the remake, they were like, let's do that. Let's not have them walking.
Yeah, because only 2 of the zombies in the 78 version ran, and they were like the niece and nephew of Tom Savini, I think.
Yeah, they were the only kids, so I think a little harder to stop them from running around set.
Yeah. That was another thing. One of the directors, God, I'm getting everybody confused, said that he never gave any specific direction. Oh, was it Romero? Yeah, he never gave any specific direction on how to be a zombie. He didn't say like, walk slow with your arms out or whatever. He just said, be dead.
Yeah. And he made a good point. He said if you give 100 people a specific movement to do, they're all going to do that specific movement because they think, that's what they want. And then that doesn't look as good. So everybody doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But I think he also said David Emge, who plays Steven, did his Romero's favorite zombie walk was his. So
yeah, his was really good.
Yeah.
He was dead. He was like running into shit and dragging his arm. And yeah, I liked him. He was a good zombie.
Oh, yeah. Great zombie.
Some of the extras were actual amputees.
In both movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I love that.
My grandpa was an amputee. He would have loved to have been in a zombie movie.
Aww.
Yeah.
See, like, what a cool opportunity. Just be like, yeah, you just gotta get to be you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Savini, too, who said growing up in Pittsburgh, was like one of the dreams of everybody who grew up in Pittsburgh was to be a zombie extra in a Romero film. That was just because he shot there a lot.
Yeah.
Which also, a thing I noticed is that, I mean, it's only happened twice, so like coincidence, whatever, but this movie the original is in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And then the remake is moved to the Midwest. It's based in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. And then they also did that to another Romero film when they remade it. He did the original Crazies, which was also set in Pennsylvania, and then the remake was moved to Iowa. So I don't know this Romero remake thing of just moving everything to the Midwest, but
weird.
Got us an Iowa movie, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, you have that, and you have what's his name?
Field of Dreams.
Oh no.
I was thinking movies that were filmed in Iowa.
Yeah.
There's a movie called Cedar Rapids, but it wasn't really filmed in Cedar Rapids. There's a really high entertainment tax to film there, so it was cheaper to film there.
Oh my god. It's like you don't want movies to be filmed there.
I don't think they do. I think they just want to make their Quaker Oats oatmeal, and then they want to farm corn and soybeans. Iowa life, baby.
Yeah, to each their own, I suppose.
Yeah. And then some people want to make meth, but that's a whole nother ballgame.
That's a given.
Obviously.
One more thing I'll say about the extras in the 78 movie is that they were paid $1 in cash, a donut, and a Dawn of the Dead t-shirt.
I'd take it.
Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be
I know
an
like
extra.
a lot of the friends and family of the cast were a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The flyover shots, I think they used a lot of actual like law enforcement and fire department people.
Mm-hmm.
Just as they were just like, hey, do you want to be a part of this movie? And they showed up. But Tom Savini had also mentioned that like years after, he would still have people come up and be like, oh, I was an extra. I was a zombie on Dawn of the Dead. And he's like, oh shit.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that they, speaking of like the overhead scenes,
Mm-hmm.
I like that they used the same helicopter for the remake. The same like news helicopter. It's all yellow.
Yeah, that was definitely a good touch.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think one of my favorite facts about the original is that Gaylen Ross plays Fran.
Mm-hmm.
And she insisted that Fran do fighting. She was like, I'm not just going to sit back and not fight the zombies. So she was like, I want to fight the zombies. And then she also refused to scream. She felt that Fran was a strong female character, and if she screamed, that strength would be taken away. So she didn't want to scream. And I guess there was like one scene where George A. Romero was like, oh, can you scream? And she told him that, and then he never asked her again. So
nice. Yeah, I liked that too. I thought that was a cute way to give her some of her power that she had as a character.
Yeah. I think it also just... George A. Romero just seems like such a chill director to work with.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I think Gaylen had also said that on her resume, she had put that she can ice skate. And so there's that scene where she's ice skating, but she hadn't done it in like 20 years. So when she got on, she was stumbling around and could barely get the shot of her actually doing the turn. And she was like, yeah, I just felt so bad. I lied. And when George Romero was asked about it, he was like, I didn't care. She didn't have to do the scene. Like, we could have cut it. Like,
that's funny.
So yeah, he definitely seemed like a chill, go with the flow kind of guy.
Totally. Some of the actors playing zombies are the extras would frequently get drunk. I'm going off of the like laid back vibe. They'd get drunk at one of the late night bars across the street called Brown Derby. One night they stole a golf cart and crashed into a marble pillar. And it was like $8,000 worth of damage that they caused.
Yeah. Well, they were filming at a real mall, so they were like, any damage that's done, you guys got to pay for. So.
Yeah, and they had a pretty shoestring budget. They were only like, what, I think they lied about the budget too to get the movie bought overseas, but it was only like $500,000 or $600,000.
Yeah, I think they lied and said it was like 1.5 million or something, but that was just to get foreign distributors involved. Yeah.
Which worked. I mean, it's the most profitable of all the movies of all
It
that
is.
series, which is wild because Zack Snyder's version made like $250 million.
Yeah.
Money.
It is a lot of money. I know George A. Romero had reservations about the remake. Just some of the elements. But he was surprisingly impressed with it. So it's good to know that it kind of got his approval.
Well, that's weird to me because he wrote it. I mean, he helped write it with James Gunn.
Did he? Or was it just based on it?
I think he helped write it.
I don't think so.
He's credited as a writer.
Well, yeah, because it's based on
Because it's based on his movie?
Yes.
Well, okay.
I don't think he did any work on the actual screenplay, but because it's based on his work and his idea, he gets screenwriting credits.
Well, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah.
James Gunn supposedly got a ton of like hate mail and death threats because he was the one doing the writing, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he wrote the Scooby-Doo movies. That's why people didn't want him to do it.
Yeah. Which I think is shit. And if you don't like the Scooby-Doo live action movies, then fuck you.
Those movies are fucking incredible.
The first one is so fucking good.
Yeah.
I will not accept any slander or hatred towards the live action Scooby-Doo movies.
Yeah. Also, James Gunn gets the last laugh because he's the CEO of fucking DC Studios now. So all you motherfuckers that didn't want him to write it, go fuck yourselves. I hope you get hate mail.
Oh.
In fact, maybe you will, and it'll be from me.
Katie is writing hate mail right now.
For all the people that wrote hate mail to James Gunn. I mean, I hate James Gunn just as much as the next person because he absolutely fucking ruined the Aquaman series, but whatever.
That switch up was crazy.
I mean, you can't hate on the man for writing the Scooby-Doo movies, but you can hate on him for fucking up Aquaman.
You went from James Gunn, #1 defender, to literally shitting all over the man.
Well, I mean, it's a dichotomy, right? He wrote Scooby-Doo. And he wrote fucking Aquaman 2? You joking?
And I've never seen any of the Aquamans, so...
Maybe he didn't write Aquaman 2. Maybe I'm mad at the wrong person. I'm just going to check.
Yeah. Yeah, you just figure it out, and then you let us know.
I'm just...
Just
Worse. It's fucking James Wan. I knew that much, but didn't...
Oh, look at you. He didn't even write it.
Well, either way, he was still in charge of it. He's the fucking CEO of DC, so he could have made any amount of changes.
Wow.
James Wan, you're a sellout, but I love you. I blame James Gunn.
I would also sell out, so I don't blame you, James Wan.
Yeah, I got a continent wrong. Gunn, Wan.
All we know is it was a James.
Yeah. One of those two, your days are numbered. And it's not because you wrote the Scooby-Doo movies. Don't worry.
Watch your fucking back.
Shit.
So in the remake, back to the movies that we're actually talking about. Ken Foree, Scott Reiniger, and Tom Savini all appeared in the original, but they have cameos in the remake as well. Obviously playing different characters. But yeah, and then Ken Foree also says the same line that he says in the original in the remake. And he says, "When there's no more room on hell, the dead will walk the earth." And he says that in both.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I didn't
fun
even notice
little
it.
nods to the original. And then also, to honor Gaylen Ross, one of the stores in the mall is called Gaylen Ross.
Yeah.
So, and she played Fran in the original. So
yeah,
kind of just cute little nods to the OG.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I forget who plays. Is it CJ?
CJ?
Is it CJ? Yeah.
That is Micahel Kelly.
Yeah, when he's in the elevator and he says his line about, "I love this song."
Yeah.
That made me giggle. And there wasn't even any music playing when he said that. He totally improvised it. That's so fun.
Yeah.
He's a zaddy now. I don't know if you've seen him recently.
Yeah. I have.
I mean, he was good looking then. But he's real good looking now.
I'm trying to think of like the last thing I saw him in, but I don't remember. I just don't remember. But I know he's been in other stuff that I've seen.
The one person that I recognized from the remake is the kid security guard. He's in stuff.
Oh, Kevin Zegers.
Yeah, what's he in? He's in like a Disney Channel original movie or something.
Yeah. No,
Right?
he was on Gossip Girl. He was on in It's a Boy Girl thing. He was in Frozen, not the Disney movie, but he was in The Mortal Instruments.
I wouldn't know him from any of these things.
He was in Zoom. That's Disney, I think.
No.
Is that Disney? He was in, I don't know what to tell you, man. Air Bud, the seventh inning
That's
fetch.
it. It's the Air Bud. It's the Air Bud.
It's Air Bud.
The baseball
That's
Air Bud. Yeah.
Baseball Air Bud.
I knew he was in some decom something or another.
Yeah.
He's in other stuff.
He is, yeah. He's definitely one of those people that you recognize but might not know his name.
Yeah.
I actually like him and Lindy Booth, who plays Nicole. They kind of have like a little like romance in this movie. But then the year before that, they also played, I think, boyfriend and girlfriend in Wrong Turn, another horror movie.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think it's funny, though, that that's the only person that you recognized.
He's in all the Air Buds, not just seventh inning.
Oh, great. Okay,
Right.
I was just scrolling back, so I didn't get to see all of them.
That's how I know him. It's from the Air Bud movies.
Okay. You didn't recognize anybody else?
I don't think so. I'm looking at the cast right now.
You didn't recognize Ty Burrell?
Oh, well, duh. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
He just plays such a small part, and he's such a dick.
He's kind of like a major plot point.
I guess, yeah, but... Also, I'm so glad that I watched the movie. I watched the old movie first, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Got to the credits, threw down my headphones and like ran to make food, came back, watched the second movie. And I'm so glad I left my headphones on once the credits hit and then left to go and make a snack or whatever I did. Because I wouldn't have missed the whole like found footage thing at the end.
Wait, you watched the remake first? Oh, I thought you said you made the snack in between the two movies.
Yeah, but I mean, both movies ended. And at the end of both movies, I went to go and do something.
Got it.
The first
Okay,
time
so
I
in
took
the
my
second
headphones
one.
off and just went and like made a snack and came
Got
back.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Missed that
the
part.
second time I kept the headphones on, and thank God, because the more movie stuff was playing. I was like, oh, should I like go back and watch? So then I went back and watched it. But I almost didn't see it.
I know, I kind of got nervous about that. I was hoping that you didn't peace out before the end credits of the remake happened, because there's like found footage of Ty Burrell, who plays Steve's boat, and then also when they get to the island.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah,
more
that was fun.
zombies.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. That was my favorite part of the remake.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, fun, creative way to
End it.
give it a little more. Yeah. And
Yeah.
boobies.
There are boobies in the remake,
Mm-hmm.
so
There wasn't any after credit scene in the first one, was there?
No.
Okay. Phew.
yeah, we've kind of been talking about the remake, but moving fully into fun facts about that one.
Yeah.
They shot it chronologically,
Mm-hmm.
and the only reason they did that was because it was Snyder's first film, and he just thought that that's what you did. He didn't know that you could shoot out of order.
Yeah, he comes from commercials. He came from short films commercials.
Yeah, so he was just like, yeah, of course we shoot it in order. Why wouldn't we? And everybody else was like, usually you shoot like the last death first, and it's just all out of order and based on filming locations. Nope. Filmed it all chronologically.
Oh. But with a $21 million budget, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
That's true.
Except that's not even the full budget they were given. They were given like a lot higher, and then some other movie that sounds really similar, Day of the Lifeless or something. I don't know. I'm making shit up.
Yeah.
Like
House of the Dead.
Yeah, I was close. it did do very well. So Universal's like, fuck you. You don't get the $1 zillion budget. You can have 21 million instead.
Yeah, they definitely kind of slashed the budget a bit because they didn't think that people had an interest in zombie movies anymore. And then this movie came out and proved them wrong because it pretty much earned back its entire budget in the first weekend. So
yeah, 3 days. And I mean, 28 Days Later did pretty well. 2 years before this.
Yeah, so, but that also was not an American film, so yeah. They used different colors of blood for the decomposition of the zombies in the remake.
I love that.
I do too. I think that's like such a good touch. Because blood does change color. So they used really red coloring for the recently dead zombies. And then the ones who have kind of been dead for a while, they used more of a brownish red. And then they had like a black oily version for the ones that have been dead for a long time.
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross. I like how they had a lot of the actors. I mean, this is probably pretty common practice, but a lot of the actors carried remotes in their hand. And I guess you can kind of see a couple of them like holding on to something if you look hard enough. And it would activate an explosion behind them of blood.
Yeah, to simulate
shot in the head.
The shots.
Cute.
I know, I like that.
Yeah.
More about special effects. Kind of. They have a scene where Anna is stitching up Kenneth's wounds.
Yeah.
And Snyder hired an actual nurse for the close-up so that it would look like someone was actually stitching. But she misunderstood one of the director's directions and thought that he was saying to go deeper. And she inadvertently actually was puncturing Ving Rhames' skin and like sewed the prosthetic to his arm. And he just didn't say anything. He just took it. And they filmed the scene, and Snyder was like, wow, that was a great effect. They were like, it's on me. Get it off.
Oh, no.
I would not sit through that. That's me personally.
I'm trying to think.
You would?
Maybe.
Oh. I think actually, though, it's kind of a fun tie back to the original. Because in the original, there's a scene at the beginning where they do the raid, and there's like a guy who turns into a zombie, but his wife is like trying to hug him because she's like, no, you know?
Yeah.
And he bites her shoulder. And when they did that, they had like basically like a pouch for him to bite onto, right? And rip off. And he bit too far. So he actually just bit the woman. So like her screaming is kind of her like actually just getting bit.
Oh no.
So I was like, that's kind of funny that it happened twice. The original and the remake.
If I had a nickel for every time.
I only have 2, but weird that it happened twice.
It is weird. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, just the amount of like makeup work that went into, I mean, both movies, I'm sure, but the second movie especially, there were 3,000 makeup effects created, and there was as many as 50 makeup artists working at once, and it could take up to 3 hours to get somebody in moulage. Crazy.
Yeah. That's for the remake, you said?
For the remake, yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I'm pretty sure I read that the original, it also took 3 hours to do their makeup.
No, that makes sense.
And the difference is crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in the original, they had a lot of people that were just like gray paint on their face and then they spent a little extra time on, and I guess people like the cult following of the original, like, oh, this is the sweater zombie and that's the hot dog zombie. I made that up, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there's some that have, those are the ones that they spent a lot of time on.
Yeah. The kind of more featured zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just glad they got their blood figured out.
Yeah, the blood looks a bit more realistic in the remake.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I feel like, you know, the vibe of the first one was pretty unserious, so maybe it fits.
Maybe. I don't know. I like the other one as a serious tone movie.
The remake?
No, the original.
You prefer... Oh, you think the original has a serious tone?
Yeah.
Oh, I think George A. Romero knew very well that he was including... Because that was one of the reasons he changed the ending, too, was that he realized that they had added a lot of humor in it, and it was kind of more of that comic book feel, and I think that it was pretty intentionally campy.
I didn't think it was campy at all. I mean, other than like the gore.
Oh.
The gore is campy for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me, it was like a serious tone with some comedy sprinkled in. You know?
Okay.
That's the way I took it, though.
Yeah, well, you've kind of had issues with recognizing humor in films.
Yeah. No, I mean, I did think it was funny. I think I got all the funny parts.
Good.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I think the vibe was just more, kind of a little less serious, a little bit more delving into the fun of it rather than taking itself really seriously.
The hedonism.
Yeah.
I learned that word from the Wikipedia page.
Oh, great. I'm glad that this movie could help broaden your horizons and your vocabulary.
Yes, thank you. But no, like it reminds me of the scene where they're going down the escalator. I forget names, but you know what I'm talking about.
In the original?
In the original, yes. Yeah. I'm going to tell you.
The original is Peter, Fran, Steven, and Roger.
Roger.
Mm-hmm.
Roger. Oh, he slides down between the escalators. He slides down on it.
Yeah.
And Tom Savini said like a bunch of people were like, "Oh my god, that looks like so much fun! I'm gonna do it too."
Mm-hmm.
And now all escalators everywhere have like metal posts sticking up at the bottom, so you can't do that, or like you're deterred from it.
Yeah.
And George Romero, right? Yeah, George A. Romero was like, I think that's because of the Dawn of the Dead series. I think that we caused that to happen.
Yeah, he really... I think he wanted it to be because of them.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope that was because of us.
Yeah. But no, that was improvised.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the first movie was kind of spur of the moment, what would be cool.
Well, a lot
in
of the
terms
funny
of the
stuff.
action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even the special effects, like Tom Savini had said that they'd be like, oh, we need this to happen, and he'd figure out how to do it on the spot. So
yeah, like the arm and the pressure cuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little horror Easter egg, I guess, for the remake was that Heather Langenkamp, who plays Nancy in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, was a part of the production crew for the remake. Yeah.
Oh.
We love a good horror icon being a part of other movies.
Yeah. I'm surprised she didn't play an extra.
I think at that point, like, she kind of, like, wasn't acting as much anymore. I think she kind of moved to, like, more behind-the-scenes stuff.
Was it really acting to be an extra?
I mean, yes. Don't negate their contributions.
I'm not. Their contributions just wasn't acting.
You have to act like a zombie. What do you mean?
The one person in my life that I know has been... there's two people I know that have been extras in movies. Mm-hmm. One of them is my uncle. He was an extra in a movie.
Okay.
Can't act. That's not acting. And then the second one is a girl I used to work with. Hate her so much. Oh my god, she's the worst.
Yeah.
She was also an extra in like a Doritos commercial or something. She had to like spin around and like dip a chip in salsa or some shit. I don't know. She got paid in beer. Hated her too. Neither of the two of them could act. So that's the like bar that I have.
Yeah.
It's very low to the ground.
Right. Well, I think that there's a lot of full-time actors who also can't act. So
Fair.
I think that there are extras who are great actors. And I think that there's extras that probably aren't that good of actors.
Or actors at all. And I think the same goes for paid actors. Actual feature-length film actors. Who's a feature-length film actor that can't act? I'll say it. Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt can't act. He is the same character in all of his movies.
I think getting typecasted, though, happens to a lot of people. Like, Ryan Reynolds is the same person in every movie, too.
But he does it well.
That's true. And we hate Chris Pratt. Honestly, the first person that came to my mind isn't even, like, in movies. This is gonna get me, like... people love him on the show, but I think Joe Mantegna Mantegna?
I don't know the fuck you're talking about.
I don't know. He plays Rossi on Criminal Minds, and I think he's a terrible actor.
Oh, if we're going TV actors, why don't you try
So
the
bad.
entire cast of Grey's Anatomy? Not a single fucking one of them can act. Sorry. Actually, okay, some of them can. But Meredith Grey? Sorry, Ellen Pompeo. There's a reason that you're only on Grey's Anatomy.
It's a fucking reason. But yeah, I feel like there's some that I'm just like, I feel like I created this discussion and now I can't think of like good examples, but
That's why I asked, because I knew you couldn't think of anybody.
Rossi on Criminal Minds is not a good actor.
And Chris Pratt.
And Chris Pratt. I'll
You would have gotten
I'll
there
accept
eventually.
that. Yeah. Steven Seagal. Kind of shit.
Is he even an actor?
Not anymore.
Isn't he like a politician? Didn't he start as a politician?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Speaking of people who went into politics.
Oh, yeah.
He's a terrible actor.
He's okay in Predator. Or
He
not
is.
Predator.
You know what his
Predator?
best film is?
Kindergarten Cop? Oh, wait.
I'm going to say this so unironically, and I don't care if I get hate for it. It's Batman and Robin 1997. And I will fight anybody who gives that movie shit. It's a fucking camp masterpiece, and I don't care what people say. It's the third best superhero movie of all time.
Out of the 3 that you've seen.
No, I've seen other superhero movies. I've only liked 3. That's not true. I've liked 4.
What are the other 2? I mean, this is relevant to this conversation because, you know, James Gunn, Zack Snyder.
The Across the Universe. Those 2 movies. Those are the best. Spider-Man Across Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh.
Those are the best superhero movies ever made.
Across the Universe is
Sorry, I said that.
completely different than what you're talking about.
Fuck the Beatles, not that. I meant Spider-Verse. Sorry. The Spider-Verse movies, those 2, 1 and 2.
Very good.
And honestly, interchangeable. You can put them at either 1 or 2, one, and that's fine. Chronicle, underrated superhero movie. Great. You've never seen Chronicle? You should watch Chronicle.
I haven't even
it's really
seen the
good.
second Spider-Man.
It's not Spider-Man. Chronicle's just like people who get superheroes. It's not like Marvel or DC or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
I've seen Iron Man
Iron
and
Man's
Iron
okay.
Man 2, I think.
Iron Man 2 is less okay.
It was fine. I think Batman and Robin is better.
Have you seen Wonder Woman?
I've seen The Dark Knight. No, I've never seen Wonder Woman. I don't like Gal Gadot. I don't care. Fuck her. I don't want to watch her in anything.
I didn't know that we didn't like her.
No, I hate her.
Why?
She's very pro-Israel right now.
Ooh,
we don't like Gal Gadot.
I don't like her.
She's also just honestly, she's a terrible fucking actress. Bad.
Oh, I liked her in Wonder Woman. I thought she did okay.
Yeah, well. Anyways, that's all I have to talk about superhero movies. I just don't I don't know. There's just not a lot of good ones. The Dark Knight series was good.
Oh, yeah. Christopher Nolan in a superhero movie? Hans Zimmer?
I'm not crazy to say Batman and Robin is better.
I mean, probably, yeah. You're the only one that thinks so.
Oh, I know.
The Dark Knight
I'll get crucified for it, but I don't care. Yeah. Well, it's so good.
Is it the one with Danny DeVito?
It's the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze and Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. It's the one with the nipple suits.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
George Clooney plays Batman, and he wears a suit that shows his nipples.
What?
It's the best superhero movie ever, Katie.
Okay, I believe you. I've seen a lot of superhero movies, but that's not one of them.
That is a shame, because it is a riot.
Okay.
I think also Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, I don't want to say she made me a little gay, but she definitely sped up the process.
I do love Uma Thurman.
She's great. She's the only person from that movie, too, who, loves it. Everyone else has been I regret working on it. I'm so sorry. George Clooney's been known to, refund people for their tickets. They've gone to lengths to apologize for this film, and Uma Thurman's the only one that was like, what are you guys talking about? That was so much fun. I had a blast. It was a masterclass in camp. I just got to, come onto set and pop my pussy every day. I don't care.
Ah, that's fun.
Anyways.
Well, compared to the other movies she works on.
What do you mean?
She's in a lot of gory stuff. Gory,
yeah, that's
heavy
fair.
stuff. So it would be fun
Yeah.
to do a Batman movie that's campy.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, we're not talking about superheroes today. We're
But
talking
that
about...
was justified. Just to clarify, that was justified. It's Zack Snyder and James Gunn. It's very justified.
Everybody who's seen Batman and Robin 1997 is like, that wasn't justified, actually. I don't care. I love it.
Well,
Fuck. Anyways, I only have a couple more fun facts. I'll just do that pretty quickly. But in the remake, while they're stocking up on ammunition in the gun store, the music from the gun store in the original film is playing in the background. So just another
cute.
fun little nod. And then my other last fact about the remake was that they were asked in the director's commentary for the remake, someone asked Snyder where the mom was when they were pointing the handgun at the zombie baby. They're like, where was the mom? And Snyder's response was, she was there saying, I love show business and I want my baby to be a part of this. And that's crazy.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah, probably shouldn't be a parent if I'm being honest.
Phew. Well, whatever. Huh.
Yeah.
That
Any
scene
other
was a little
fun facts for
shocking.
you? Yeah, it was definitely like okay, they went there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the original movie kills a bunch of kids.
That's true.
It's like, call back to the other movie. We can do it better. We'll kill a baby.
We're gonna go even younger.
Yeah. Like,
literally
fresh out the womb.
Literally minute 1.
Yeah. You can't get any, unless it's like in utero, you can't get any fresher than that.
Should we rate it? Then?
Can we just real quick, what was your favorite kill?
Oh.
Out of both movies. Either movie. Not both.
Ooh.
Either.
Ooh.
Of the two movies, what was your favorite? I know mine.
I think maybe the chainsaw.
Oh no.
Which I thought was funny because I had completely forgotten about that scene. And when you had predicted it, you were like, someone has a chainsaw. And I was like, I don't think anybody has a chainsaw.
And then they do.
As soon as they got in the truck, I remembered and was like, oh my God. It's like a pretty significant chainsaw kill.
Yeah. Double kill.
Actually, no. I think it's when CJ shoots the propane tank and just everything explodes and clears the way for them. That's pretty iconic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. What about you?
Mine is from the 78 film when the zombie climbs up onto boxes and it gets the top of his head sliced off by the helicopter. That is simultaneously the best scene and my worst nightmare. Because that
was a good one.
For those that don't know, my husband was a helicopter pilot in a past life. And he's really fucking tall, and I always worry about, like, wow, do you have to, like, duck and get him? Like, what? What if you, like, step up and, like, you...
Yeah?
But if that's how it happens, it's pretty fucking funny, so.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. All right, let's rate it. How scary did you think it was?
I gave both movies the same score.
Okay.
Which is a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. The original is just kind of campy and fun, and then the remake, it definitely, I think, has a more serious tone overall, but I still don't really remember being scared during it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. What about you?
1 for both.
Yeah.
Not scary.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. But zombies don't really scare me.
Yeah, me neither.
That's not like...
Yeah, they don't induce fear in me.
Yeah. It can't
if
happen.
They were real, yeah.
Well, no.
Oh,
even
if they
then.
were real and they started running at me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't not be scared.
Yeah. I try to think about where I would go in a zombie apocalypse, but I think at Costco.
I think I'd just die.
Yeah.
I'll just take myself out in the comfort of my home. I'm good.
Yeah. That's fair.
Although, fuck, I always worry that I'd pull like a Peter and be like, I'm good. I'm just going to end it here. And then be like, oh, shit, I can't do it. I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. That's honestly relatable.
Right?
Very relatable.
When the time comes.
Yeah.
How sexy did you think they were?
1 for both.
For both, okay.
Yeah, they both get a 1. I don't.
Yeah.
They're just,
Yeah.
It's like, it's people eating people again.
That's true. I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is more fun, people eating people.
Okay.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
compared to the other one, it's like, oh, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a little more fun. But it's
Mhm.
not sexy to eat people.
Oh.
You know, which is funny, though, because I did give Raw a little bit of a... Raw had like a tone, like a little...
It did have a tone.
It had a tone. This one didn't.
Okay.
Neither of them did. What did you give it?
I gave the original a 1.
No.
Because it's just not, yeah, it's not a sexy vibe.
No.
But I gave the remake a 1.5 because I do think there's like a touch of sexiness. Not a lot, but like a little touch of it.
Well,
There's boobs.
There's boobs and there's sex.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, I
it's
forgot
not
about that.
not sexy.
I'm not having sex on. We're
Been
gonna
there
vote
long enough.
again.
Did you say again?
I said on a boat
Oh, good
again.
for you.
Thanks. Yeah, it was wild times when I worked at that fishing landing.
Oh. Oh my god.
Yeah, there was all sorts of stuff happening.
What a time in our lives. In your life, not mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still time for you.
Yeah, that's true.
You could have a boat hoe phase.
I plan to.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Let me know when.
Shifting gears this summer.
I know some guys and girls.
Oh, great.
How fucked up did you think it was?
I gave the original a 1.
Okay. Hot take.
It's just older, so it's like it just doesn't have the same impact.
They used real cow intestines.
Yeah,
That's disgusting.
seen that.
Not before this, you didn't.
I saw it before they
No,
saw
but like
this,
collectively,
but-
the world did not see that before.
No, but I'm basing it based on my experience, right?
Okay,
So like
well.
me seeing this movie, it's not fucked up. I'm sure people seeing it in the theaters when it came out, it was fucked up.
Yeah.
But to me, no.
Okay.
The remake I did give a 1.5.
Oh.
And the 0.5 is just for the zombie baby, because that's like a little fucked up.
Yeah.
That is a little fucked up.
Yeah.
What about you?
I gave them both a 1.5
Okay.
for the cow intestines, and it's like pioneering zombie gore.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked up, and like nobody had seen a lot of that before.
Okay.
And like the helicopter scene's pretty fucked up. I mean, it's just the way his head lops off. I'll never get over it. And then the second one for the baby and the baby. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, woo. Which is so okay. Speaking of Aquaman 2, he had another chance to kill a baby and he didn't even bother.
That's crazy.
Whatever.
Overall, what did you give Dawn of the Dead remake and original?
Okay, so the original I enjoyed. I thought it was fun.
Okay.
It was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
I did like that it kind of, was a pioneer in the space.
Mm-hmm.
The second movie to use the word zombie, and the first was its prequel.
Okay.
I gave it a 3.5.
All right.
Yeah.
What did you give the remake?
Okay, so the remake, I also enjoyed.
Okay. I was nervous when you said
Yeah.
the way you said it made it sound like you were going to shit on the remake.
No. So I liked both movies for a lot of the same reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the first one was just like because it was a pioneer, I have to give the second one a little bit less. So I gave it a 3.
Oh. Okay.
I don't think that they did anything significantly better, except maybe like special effects. But like that's a product of its time. I don't think that that's like, we would expect them to have better effects in this one. I don't think they did anything else significantly better to justify it getting the same or higher score. So it got a 3, and the original got a 3.5.
All right.
What did you give it?
I kind of disagree. I think there are things that the remake did that I enjoyed the addition of. I liked that there
Oh.
were more people. It kind of gave them the ability to kill people off and like have it be a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
Or I guess like higher kill count, you know, a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
I liked the addition of the guy next door and like Andy,
Yeah.
like them talking to him. I thought that was really cool. And I fucking love the scene where they're driving through the hordes of zombies. I think that scene is so fucking cool. So yeah, I definitely think there were things that the remake did that I enjoyed a lot. I do think this is one of the best remakes in horror history. Like, it typically you watch the remake and you're like, why did they even touch it?
Yeah.
This is one of the ones where I'm like, they did a great job.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna do something crazy and I'm gonna give them the exact same score.
Ah.
And I gave both a 3.5.
Nice.
Yeah, because I do love the original. It's fun. It's super unserious. I like George A. Romero. I do like that the original touched on social issues, about capitalism and consumerism, and racial issues,
Abortion.
Like, they weren't afraid to kind of touch on these things. So I do like that. But I think the remake is solid, super enjoyable, fun zombie movie. I like both.
Same. Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
real
to your
question,
point.
though.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, to your point, like, it is a very good remake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, all I have to go off of is like nothing. I don't really have anything.
Not
to
a
go
lot.
off of. But yeah, I mean, it definitely did justice for the original movie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Would you survive? That's the real question.
No.
Okay.
Well, the first movie, I think I have a better chance
Okay.
because they're just walkers.
Yeah.
Second movie, I'm absolutely not. I mean, the remake, absolutely not. They're running?
Mhm.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm not running.
Yeah.
I'm running right into them. So they kill me faster.
Yeah.
But the first one, I think I have a little bit better of a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was really smart to go to a mall versus like my plan has always been a Costco. There's not a lot to do at a Costco. There's a lot more fun stuff to do at a mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think just no. I don't think I'm living.
Yeah.
And you don't want to.
Yeah, but it is funny. I kind of said the exact same thing as you. I was like, the remake? No. Like, they run. That's not...
No.
It's just not happening. It's over for me.
Yeah.
The original, I said, like, maybe, probably not, because it sounds terrible to be alive. But I think, yeah, the original, you definitely have a better chance because they walk. And I'm sorry. I think it's so stupid when there's walking zombies and people just hoard it and stay in one place. Like, that's not smart.
Yeah.
Just do a light jog and you're fine.
Yeah.
It's when they start hoarding that it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you know, it was the 70s, so it was definitely that mentality of like, oh, save the woman. And I would take advantage of that back then. Absolutely. I am not as cool as Gaylen Ross, and I would have been screaming and letting the men sacrifice themselves for me.
Totally. So you would have survived at least for a little while.
A little while. But I think, like, the ending is pretty bleak in that one, too. Like, I don't think that they probably make it that much longer. So I'll say that I as well die for both.
Yeah, that's fair. That checks out.
Yeah. Do I give us one death or two for that? I think that's two each.
That's two.
That's rough. It's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Do you want to predict next week's film?
Sure.
Okay, next week we're seeing a new movie. It's in theaters right now. It's called I Saw the TV Glow.
Okay. I know nothing about this movie. All I've seen is the poster. I haven't even watched the trailer.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So, I do think it's about a group of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, no, I know a little bit about it. Because I think I gave like a summary of it. So it's a group of kids and they're in high school. And these particular kids knew each other in elementary school. And they get back together and they're like, oh my God, you know what we should do is we should watch that show from when we were in elementary school. They're in high school now, but they like get back together and they're like, oh my gosh, we should watch that show that we loved so much when we were in elementary school. Mm-hmm. And they go to watch the show, which is called The TV Glow. It's called The TV Glow.
Yes.
I had to like reverse engineer that in my brain.
Yeah.
And if you go back to watching that show after you stopped watching it as a kid, if you go back to it as like an adult or like a semi-adult,
Yeah.
you get like a hex put on you, like from The Ring, where it's like,
You're gonna
you
die
watch
now.
the show, you're gonna die now. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Unfortunate.
So they have to figure out how to unsee the TV glow.
Yeah. They have to unsee it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the main premise. I
Great.
think it's kids, so a lot of them make it out okay.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
think this is like a kill the kid kind of film.
Got it. Yeah.
And I think at the end there's like a flashback, or not a flashback, flash forward to when they're really old.
Oh.
And they
okay.
get back together and they're like, should we watch the TV glow again?
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's A24. It's got to be good. So it's got to be nothing like what I just described.
That well. It is about kids. They do like a TV show. That's what I'll give you. I think the rest I'm gonna let you kind of go in blind. It's not called the TV Glow. The television show they like is called The Pink Opaque. So
weird.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll let you kind of go into it blind. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's my favorite way to see him. I've seen pretty much all of the new movies that we've seen blind, and it's been way more fun.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Honestly, seeing movies blind is so much fucking fun, and I highly recommend it. Any movie that you go and see. The only thing I would say is check the ratings first, and then go and see it.
It's crazy because I remember like when we started this and you would just like read ahead and spoil things for yourself, and I kept begging you to go in blind to things and you wouldn't. And I'm glad that after a year and a half, you see the truth in that I am right.
So much more fun. Except I do check the triggers.
That's fair. Yeah, if you have I typically don't, just because my triggers, I'm fine if I see them. Like there's very few things that will give me a visceral reaction. But I know people do have that type of trigger where it's like they cannot handle it if they see something. So yes, if you have something like that, absolutely check triggers and then go in blind. But highly recommend. It's always just fun not knowing what to expect.
Yeah, way more fun. Yeah. Well,
cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for listening. This was definitely like a new type of format for us. We've never done it where we've reviewed more than one movie.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked it. It's neat to be able to talk about both with you instead of trying to not spoil remakes and stuff like that.
Totally.
When you haven't seen them yet. So definitely something we might try again in the future. But thank you for sticking around. We appreciate you guys listening.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.